The government today used its majority in the House of Representatives to crush changes to the Banking Services Act.
Finance Minister AUDLEY argued that the government wants to protect the consumers, but for the most part, the bill is repetitive.
That has forced opposition Member of Parliament FITZ to rethink his strategy to get the bill passed. Now, TVJ's Andrea Chisholm was at Gordon House and now joins us live. Andrea?
Thank you very much, Janella and Doreen. Now, with last week's sitting of the lower house fresh on the minds of many, all eyes were on Gordon House today to hear if parliamentarians would support proposed changes to the Banking Services Act. Finance Minister AUDLEY took the time to compare both bills, the changes being pushed by FITZ and the Banking Services Act, which was passed in 2014. Now, one such example cited by Mr. Shaw was a request for the language to be clear and simple.
Section 132(4)(b)(4) of the Banking Services Act requires the BOJ's code to oblige the deposit-taking institution to, quote, to keep language in contracts with customers simple and clear and ensure that key terms such as rates, terms, fees, and payment dates are clearly identified for the customer's attention. It's there already in the bill that you passed in 2014. So why you want it again to repeat it in another bill?
As a long-serving member of this House, he knows if the bill does not contradict any provision that is existing, there is no injury. In fact, this bill was drafted by the Chief Parliamentary Council.
Now, Mr. Shaw indicated that 90 to 95% of the changes were already in the 2014 bill and a Bank of Jamaica Code of Conduct for deposit-taking institutions. Now, that Code of Conduct, he said, was implemented in September last year. But he admitted that the issue of regulating the actual fees charged by deposit-taking institutions like banks, those have not been addressed. And at a hastily called press conference, the opposition pointed out one such instance.
The most important aspect of the bill is the minimum service package, and that is not in the Banking Services Act. The minimum service package is what would say that banks cannot charge fees for persons who are cashing checks, and that the interest rate changes must be notified in advance.
We too, on this side, are concerned about certain fees and excessive charges in the banking system. The question is how you deal with it in a manner that is internationally acceptable and transparent.
To this end, Mr. Shaw argued that by June this year, the Bank of Jamaica will be looking at how the Code of Conduct is being implemented. And since that will happen later this year, he had this request of opposition MP FITZ.
I respectfully and humbly suggest to the member that you withdraw the bill and work together with us on creating the appropriate consumer protection framework.
When we drafted the bill, Mr. Speaker, we subsequently made adjustments in the bill to concur with some of the provisions in the existing regulations that we had no difficulty with. So, Mr. Speaker, I humbly submit that the bill be read a second time.
Those in favor? Aye. Those against?
So in the end, there were 30 noes and 29 yeses. And of course, government members voted that the bill not be read a second time, but opposition members wanted it to be read a second time. And because of that, since the noes outweighed the yeses, the bill was not read a second time, and because of that, it was quashed. Mr. Jackson subsequently indicated that he will be retabling the bill, and he is hoping that at least one member of the government would support his quest to have the changes to the Banking Services Act. And if that does not happen, Janella and Doreen, he said if the PNP forms the next government, within 30 days of them taking office, they will be passing the legislation. It's back to you.